Am I on? I need help from you, as in patience. It's been a while. I am at probably 3/4 mast, and really happy to be here and see your beautiful faces. And yeah, I think I'm back. So, welcome to you, and thank you for being here on this very cold day. So I wanted to say good morning. Good morning to you online. We welcome you in a warm and loving spirit in unity, the recognition of our unity with all people and communities of faith throughout the world. In unity, we bless and embrace people of every race, culture, lifestyle, and creed. We honor and celebrate the many paths of God, the many names of God, and the many ways in which we experience God. And so together we affirm there is only one presence, one power, active in your life and mine, God, good, omnipotent. And now, Miss Betsy, it's time. Daily Word.
Thank you, Mick. Good morning. Do you people have something wrong with you over here? Why is everybody over here and nobody's over here? The heater's over here? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stay where I'm sitting because it's working. Today's word is so good. It's one of my favorites. It was also Mr. Fillmore's favorite, zeal. It's a zeal day. I bring my zeal and passion to life. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote in his 94th year, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. I love that. His example shows me that regardless of my age or station in life, zeal is a divine gift, a part of me, always mine to call upon. So you're never without it, in case you haven't figured that out. Through it, I feel enthusiastic and energetic about life. I express joy and excitement as I live, love, and share of myself through service. I am purposeful, passionate, and positive. I live authentically and make a bold impression on the world. I share my talents and gifts with a spirit of generosity and service. I begin each day with eagerness and end it with gratitude. I started with gratitude too. Happy to share my zeal, and I am. From Psalm 100, worship God with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. And I have something else to share with you from unity.org, which is something that came from James Dillett Freeman. There is the silence of human thought, but deeper is the silence of the place of peace within you. Deeper is the silence where you commune with God. In the silence is strength for the tired body. In the silence is light for the joyless mind. In the silence is love for the lonely spirit. In the silence is peace for the troubled heart. There, workaday worries fade away. There, the whole being becomes a place of prayer, a holy temple set on a hill. There, you know God as a living presence and yourself as God's child. Lovely stuff. And a zealful day.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, Betsy. Okay, well, this point is recognition of new faces.
Can't hear you. Can you turn it on?
about turning me off too? This point of the service is when we acknowledge new faces, but how about renewed faces? Renewed spirit. And it's lovely to see old friends, Kathy, Ken. Nice to see you. Welcome. Also, we want to thank Cindy for coming and filling in and offering you your presents and your gifts, as well as volunteers. You two guys, your beautiful music, the way the sound works, the way the door works, the way the kitchen works.
The way the heat works.
And the heat, yeah, it's like a lot to be in gratitude about. And so from there we move on. But right now I want to just remind you of Cindy's background. It's been a long road.
What?
It's been a long road.
Yeah.
A lot of gifts. Cindy Clay is a licensed prayer practitioner and ministerial student with the Centers of Spiritual Living. After 33 years in business, running a successful leadership development company, she is now focused on developing a New Thought ministry. She helps people discover, trust, and live their spiritual magnificence through speaking, teaching, and coaching. And we thank you. And we'll again when you're all done today.
Okay.
Now, some announcements. The prayer ministry is growing. We have an amazing team that's been around for quite some time. Betsy, our leader, coordinator, keep a straight person, has been at this many years. And then we have Chris and Julie and Heather and me. And then we have two beautiful additions. That's Leanne Robinson has just joined us. And Dee Thorson. We had our first meeting this Tuesday, and I tell you, the room was vibrating with a lot of love and a lot of prayerful intention. So, if you need prayer support, we have the box back there, and we also online have a site, unitysv.org, and there's a place for prayer requests, and Betsy checks in on that about 3 times a week, and then a day. Whoa, dedication. And that just tells you how much it matters to us, because then she disperses those to us to remind us to hold an intention for you, knowing you have the power of prayer within you. We're that support. And now, we have a potluck today. And a kitchen team that I bowed out to you. That I think that's one of the busiest, most challenging, and yet this sense of teamwork. Anytime you walk into that kitchen, there's people going, yeah, let's work together. And then there's another factor that we talked about during the prayer meeting as far as really prayerfully praying in what our community needs. We're doing exceptionally well, but there's a few areas that need a little more strengthening. And one of the things that we want to pray in is a children's program. And so just put in an intention into your own prayers that we will create that and draw in more children. That's our future. The other thing is just what I call enthusiastic volunteerism. If you notice that there might be something need doing, or maybe just ask a board member, or just look around, or think, well, I wonder who needs help. It's always welcome, and it's a wonderful way to go deeper into our community and loving and trusting one another. So that's something to consider. Then the last thing on the list is, where's Linda? Linda's hiding. She said she was going to shut off her computer and her phone. We could run bets on that one, but she intentionally is just spending a week as still and as quiet and restful as she possibly can. So we could put that into a prayer box as well. I think that, no, one even better announcement, and that has to do with a magical class. Would you like to say something about what you're up to again?
Can I say it from here or do
No.
it online?
Well, we can't hear it online.
Well, I'm just, yeah.
So I'm teaching Each One Lead One, Embodying Your Purpose. And this time we're going to do it online. So if you're online right now, you can contact me. My email is artofheartawakening. And Jordan, it's on the email that went out, but is it on the website too, the Art of Heart Awakening at Gmail? Huh?
They can be.
Okay, so you can look on the, either the email that went out, the Friday Focus, to get my email address, so that it's on Tuesdays for 3 weeks. It starts this Tuesday at 11 o'clock to 12:30, the usual class time. And we're going, sometimes you need to refocus. What am I up to for the rest of my life? What am I up to for this next time in my life? Sometimes this is appealing to people who have gone through changes recently and wondering, what do I do next? So we're going to use my card deck, so you do need a card deck to do that. If you can borrow one, that's fine with me, or I can make sure you get one before then. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great way to start your new year. Okay, it's meditation music time, I believe.
Because Cindy's talk today is going to be about the magic of co-creation. Let's weave ourselves together.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. So let's just take into meditation. And I invite you to uncross anything that's crossed, put your feet flat on the floor. And let's take 3 deep breaths together, breathing in love, breathing out into the world peace. Here we go. Let's breathe. And our second breath together, let's breathe in love and breathe out peace. And our third breath together, breathing in love and breathing out peace. And so let us move into the silence and hold in our hearts the world, our country, our community, our family, our relationships, and the center here, the Unity Center in Skagit Valley. Just hold it all in love, in the silence. And coming back together as one united community, woven together in love. I speak my word of blessing for each person in this room, knowing that love embraces each one of you and embraces us all. And I say thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is. Amen. I am happy to be back here. Do you have a song now? Am I just stepping on you? Do it. Let's do it. Do it. I suddenly went, wait, there's a song.
I'm gonna sing Love Can Build a Bridge. I gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I would swim out to stay with you in your sea of broken dreams. All your hopes are
her music plan when I got here, and it's so beautifully connected with what we're going to talk about this morning. So don't you love it when the one mind, spiritual intelligence, love works like that? So cool. So I am happy to be back here. I think this is my third time here. And the very first time I came here, I had just decided to go to ministerial school. And y'all put on the program, Reverend in Training, which just tickled me pink because I hadn't even started yet. And then the next time I came, you called me Reverend Cindy Clay. I am still in school. So it's back here again. I love it because every time I come, I go, yeah, I'm stepping in to being a reverend. Thank you for honoring me that way. So I'm just delighted to be here. Now, I am going to ministerial school with Centers for Spiritual Living, and so you know this, but I'm just going to remind us all that Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity are kind of sister New Thought denominations. Ernest Holmes founded Science of Mind and what has become Centers for Spiritual Living, and you know all about Charles Fillmore founding Unity, and they were both students of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was one of my favorite spiritual teachers and wrote the book Scientific Christian Mental Practice. And so you probably know that she is known as the teacher of teachers because she just freely gave of herself and sent out teachers all over the country to establish their own New Thought teachers, New Thought denominations. And she was, completely generous with supporting all of them. Wow. So great example for us to follow. So I have been reading a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. Is anybody familiar with this book? Well, okay. And I'm not through it yet, but I'm going to be finishing it because it's so good. And so there is a story in Braiding Sweetgrass that I want to share to get us started here. And I just want to say this book is by Robin Wall Kimmerer, who is a botanist and works in academia. But she's also an enrolled member of the Citizen Potawatomi tribe. And that tribe is mostly in Oklahoma now because they were sent there, but they're from the Great Lakes region. Okay, so they still have tribal members in the Great Lakes region. And so this is just a story that's adapted from the book. So settle in, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. And I realize this book is in my way, so I just want to prove that I have it. Okay. Lena, the gray-haired elder, led Robin through the meadow in a search for sweetgrass. "It's our way," she said, "to take only what we need. I've always been told that you never take more than half." After scattering a bit of tobacco to the ground with her thanks, she said, "You know this, to always leave a gift for the plants, to ask if we might take them. It would be rude not to ask first." Only then did she stoop and pinch off a grass stem at its base, careful not to disturb the roots. The most important thing was to remember what Lena's grandmother had always told her. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay with us and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. If you don't give it respect, it will leave us, Lena said. This place always gives good sweetgrass since we tend to it right. But other places, it's getting hard to find. I'm thinking they may not be picking right. Some people, they're in a hurry and they pull up the whole plant. Even the roots come up. That's not the way I was taught. Robin had been with pickers who did that, yanking up a handful that left a little bare spot on the earth. They too made offerings of tobacco and took only half, sure that their method of picking was the correct one. They were defensive about the charges that their harvesting was depleting the sweetgrass. Robin, the professor of botany, wanted to know which method was best for the sweetgrass population, a true joining of her Potawatomi upbringing and her academic career. The dean was skeptical that this could be a project of merit. Oh, she suggested the idea to her student, Lori, for her thesis. The dean was skeptical that this could be a project of merit. Anyone knows that harvesting a plant will harm the population. You're wasting your time. And I'm afraid I don't find this whole traditional knowledge thing very convincing. A little clash between academia and indigenous wisdom. Lori identified and marked off 3 strong patches of sweetgrass and carefully counted every stem. One patch would be harvested by pinching, one by pulling, and one, the control patch, would be left completely alone. For 2 years, the patches were observed, and they were harvested at the appropriate times, never more than half. At the end of the experiment, Lori counted one last time every single stem. This, by the way, is why I'm not a scientist, because I don't want to have to do that. Her statistical analyses were all sound and thorough, but she hardly needed graphs to tell the story. From across the field, you could see the difference. Some plots gleamed shiny, golden green, and some were dull and brown. The surprise was that the failing plots were not the harvested ones, as predicted, but the unharvested controls. The sweetgrass that had not been picked or disturbed in any way was choked with dead stems, while the harvested plots were thriving. Pruning allows sweetgrass to grow. Whether the sweetgrass had been pinched singly or pulled up in a clump, the end result was nearly the same. It didn't seem to matter how the sweetgrass was harvested, only that it was. Lori's findings might have been surprising to academic theorists, but they were consistent with the theory voiced by the ancestors. If we use a plant respectfully, it will stay and flourish. If we ignore it, it will go away. I love that story. And I kind of pulled out of that story 3 points that I want to talk with you this morning about. And the first is that it is calling us to respect the interconnectedness of all life. That's why when I looked at the music, I was like, oh, we're going to sing the weaving song, okay. Because you can hear that interconnectedness of life reflected in the story of sweetgrass. And you know that Unity has 5 basic principles. By the way, I have been all over the Unity website getting ready for this talk. So if you want to know anything about the articles that are up there, you just ask me. Okay. So the first basic principle, God is everywhere and always present in every circumstance. This divine energy underlies and animates all of existence. Can you hear the interconnectedness of that first principle? So indigenous people have tended to sweetgrass for generations, and wherever sweetgrass grows near native populations, basket weavers tend to it and pick it and care for it, and sweetgrass flourishes. And where sweetgrass pops up outside of native populations, it tends to wither and die. So they need each other to flourish. Okay? Now, as I was getting ready for this talk last weekend, I could not stop thinking about what's happening in Minnesota. Just couldn't. That's the whole backdrop for thinking about the interconnectedness of all life. And I have been really aware of the injustice and cruelty. And last weekend of the death of Renee Nicole Good, a young mother of 3. And then yesterday, the death of Alex Preddy. And I got to tell you, my heart is heavy. My heart hurts. And last weekend, on Saturday, my daughter needed to go to work. And she came to me before she left because she was worried about what's happening with ICE. So she's been watching videos, the same videos that we've all been watching, of people being dragged out of cars and mistreated. And it had been reported last week that ICE was in Whatcom County, which is where I live. I live in Bellingham. And people were saying they're coming to workplaces and they're taking people. Now, my children are biracial. They're half black, half white. They're brown-skinned. And she said, Mama, should I start carrying my passport? Whew. And I paused for a minute because I was stunned that she was asking this question. And I was saddened to realize I'm about to tell my daughter that in this country she's going to have to carry her passport because she's brown-skinned. She needs to be ready to be stopped. So I said, yeah, I think we need to do that. So let's make a copy of your passport, put it in the car. She did that. And I said, let's talk about what people might ask you. So we reminded her that she was born in Walla Walla, Washington at St. Mary's Hospital. We talked with her about responding with respect, no matter how people are talking to you, to answer with respect. And then I sent her on the way to work. And the enormity of what's happening in our country just overwhelmed me after I'd sent her on to work. And what could happen if she was stopped and I wasn't there? Now, I tell you that story because I want you to also hear that in situations like this, we tend to take sides. We tend to form judgments. We tend to decide who's right and who's wrong, and especially when things seem to be spiraling out of control. But here we are talking about the interconnectedness of all life, right? So if we want to honor the interconnectedness of all life, we have to bring spiritual wisdom to these situations. That's what we're being called to do. We're not just passive observers. I loved hearing about the prayer ministry this morning, and of course Unity is totally known worldwide for their prayer ministry. So we are prayer warriors. I decided to wear my this is my prayer practitioner stole that I earned when I did practitioner studies. Yeah, because that's who we are. We're prayer warriors. We're being called to pray. So Ernest Holmes says, I see through all physical and mental obstructions to the one perfect presence within me. I see through all apparent contradictions to the one perfect being in every person. I see through all confusion to the one divine presence at the center of everything. So if we want to live and grow as a healthy community that respects the interconnectedness of all life, judgment and hate are not going to get us there. Believing in victimization and persecution is not going to get us there. The second principle in unity is human beings are innately good because they are connected to an expression of spirit. We are innately good. Can you imagine if every person in Minnesota realized who they were? They are innately good, no matter what side of this conflict they're on. So when we feel anxious or fearful, and I don't know, I'm sort of hesitant to ask if anybody's felt anxious or fearful recently. I know I have. There's a simple practice that we can use to ground ourselves, and I want to share it with you. And you may have heard of it before, but this simple practice to ground ourselves is literally to look up. And so just look up at the place where the wall joins the ceiling for a moment. Because there's a reason that in sacred art, Jesus and Mary and Joseph and the disciples and angels are looking up, right? Start to notice, they're always looking up. So I want you to experience the power of making this shift from looking down to looking up. You want to do this with me, a little experiment? Okay. So first of all, think of an intractable problem or challenge. And for me right now, that's what's happening in Minnesota. I don't see the way through here. That's the one I'm going to hold. And what I want you to do first is to look down. I want you just look down at your navel for a minute and just hold that problem. All right, and now my nose is running. That's what's happening. How'd you feel looking down, thinking about that problem? So many people will say they feel hopeless. They feel helpless. No solutions come. Just feels like I'm mired in this problem. And now, look up. Take that same problem, look up, breathe, welcome in love. And how does that feel? So many people will say they feel a sense of release, of freedom, They feel the sense of being filled up with possibility, with love. Very simple practice. And I'm using it because I am watching things on YouTube, when I start to find myself getting upset, I stop and I look up and I allow God in. I allow love in, okay? So when we experience, when we know the interconnectedness of all life, we see through the contradictions of the human experience, okay? We look up and we receive the guidance of spiritual wisdom. So the second point I want to talk about is that we embrace the power of reciprocity. We embrace the power of reciprocity. That is a point that flows out of that sweetgrass story. Indigenous wisdom tells us, take only what you need, leave a gift for the plants, care for them. They will reciprocate that care by growing abundantly. The definition of reciprocity is mutual dependence, action, or influence. So a way to say that in metaphysical language is love is reflected in love. Love is reflected in love. Or to quote Kimmerer, to be heard, you must speak the language of the one you want to listen. And that language is love. Charles Fillmore states, words are also seeds, and when dropped into the invisible spiritual substance, they grow and bring forth after their kind. Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm asking myself this question. What am I talking about? If you talk about conflict and war, you're bound to experience more conflict and war. If you talk about discord and chaos and outrage and anger, guess what? You get to experience more discord, chaos, more outrage, more anger. Dang. Emma Curtis Hopkins tells us that the world in which we walk is a direct reflection of our thoughts. And she says, if you don't like the world you see, then you do not like your thoughts. Way to be pointed there, Emma Curtis Hopkins, because she's really saying, notice your thoughts. Not just what you're speaking about, what are you thinking about? Okay, notice what you're holding in consciousness. So it is good to be aware of what's happening in the world. It is good to be aware of what's happening in our country. I am not advocating closing our eyes and being ignorant about what we're experiencing. But are you rolling around in the muck and the mud of disillusionment, despair, outrage, hatred? I doubt anybody here is, but because if we're tempted to drop down into that, and I got to tell you, I'm tempted every day to be outraged, right? But I also know it's time to get out of the mud, because we are being called to lift our consciousness. We are being called to lift up. We are the very people that are being called to heal this situation. It's us, yeah? So we're being called to affirm the presence of love and peace here and now. And here's the thing. We go first. We go first. We are not waiting. We're not waiting for God to show up, right? We're not waiting to see what God's going to do. We're not waiting to see if love and peace are possible in this situation. We're not waiting for a savior. You know, for some of us, the savior, because I hear people talking about this all the time, is the midterm elections. For some of us, the savior is a new president. For some of us, a savior is some external event that happens that shifts the dynamic, right? You hear that's like all outside of us. And the truth is, we go first. We speak love. We embrace love. We embody it. We act with loving, positive intentions, and we start right now. We start right now. We pay attention to what we talk about. And the world, external conditions, will reflect to us the steadiness of our faith. Charles Fillmore wrote that faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. So you can hear that faith is our ability to see the unlimited possibilities of life, to see God in the midst of conflict. So I want to tell you a story about my closest friend. I grew up in Texas, so you can hear I have a little Texas accent. And my friend and I met when we were 12 years old. So we have known each other for, I used to say 50 years, but it's gone on to 58 years now. And somehow we grew up together, best friends, and she became conservative politically, and I became progressive politically. So we are at opposite ends of the political spectrum. That's been true our whole adult lives. So the other thing that happened, she lives in St. Louis now, and I live in Bellingham, and we both found pickleball about the same time. So we love pickleball, and we have used pickleball as our reason to get together around the country. We have gone to several pickleball camps so that we can spend 3 or 4 days together in a hotel playing pickleball during the day and catching up. So we were at pickleball camp on Election Day 2024. Yeah. And so we had our first day of camp, and we were lying in our hotel room beds, she on one side, I on the other. We're both on our iPads. We're looking at the election results coming in, and she is celebrating because her candidate has won, and I was kind of dismayed because my candidate had not won, right? And she, every once in a while, she'd look over to me and she'd go, "Are you okay?" And I go, I'm fine, I wanted to maintain my center and trust that all is well. Now, I know that there are a lot of families where these kinds of political disagreements have fractured the family, where people have stopped speaking with each other, and I'm sure you probably know people where this has happened. But I did not want to put my friend out of my heart. She's like my sister. I love her, right? So I spoke my truth with love. I tried to say, honey, I think these things are probably going to happen in the next year, and she went, no, those things are not going to happen, She just couldn't see it, couldn't imagine it, didn't believe it. And so I said, okay. So we let it go. And, we had a conversation about whether we could remain friends. And I said, of course we're going to remain friends. I love you. So we've maintained a loving relationship, and we've gone to pickleball camp several times. And so we went back to pickleball camp in the fall, a year later. And she said to me, when we got there, it was in Florida, she said, I do not want to talk politics with you, but I want to say something. And I said, okay. And she said, I don't support what's happening right now in our country. And she said, you know what? I think I'm a centrist. Now inside, not outside, I went, yay, love. Right? Yay, love. Okay? Now, this is not a story about who's right or who's wrong. This is a story about love is reciprocal. Right? When we love, love is returned to us. So last weekend, after I had had that experience with my daughter, where we talked about her need to carry her passport, I posted on Facebook that story, like how I felt about this situation affecting my family in this way. And my friend texted me, and she said, I'm so sorry. I cannot imagine what it would feel like to think that my children would be targeted in this situation. And she said, that's not right. We must lead with love. That's really all that this story is about. Love paves the way for our interconnectedness. Love is reciprocal. And Kimmerer says, isn't this the lesson of grass? Through reciprocity, the gift is replenished. All of our flourishing is mutual. All right, so the third point. We partner with our creative source to co-create the world we want to live in. That's the magic of co-creation, right? We're not doing it by ourselves. We partner. So if you're like me, you may have felt helpless in the face of what's happening. No matter where you stand politically, it feels out of control. It feels chaotic. Sometimes I wonder what I should be doing in this situation. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, God works through you to will and to do that which ought to be done by you. Yeah, she's clear. And she also says, if we feel there is work to do, we may be very certain that we are the ones to do it. Right? So, yeah, I'm not going to stand here and wait for somebody else to do what is mine to do. Right? I was looking at the Unity booklet, 30 Days to Fearless Living, and I found this quote by Reverend Galen McDowell. We cannot allow the lower levels of human thinking based on fear, uncertainty, and ignorance to dictate our decisions. We must transcend the limited view of the human ego and connect with a higher level of awareness, seeing beyond the facts and limited perceptions to the goodness of God. Seeing beyond to the goodness of God. So the third principle in unity is our thoughts have creative power to influence events and determine our experience. Our thoughts have creative power. Let's start thinking about the power of good in this situation. When Jessie came home from work last week, she said to me, you know, Mom, what about our neighbors? Should we be worried about our neighbors? Because our across the street neighbors are from Hong Kong, and neighbors to the north of us are a family from China. And I said, you know, honey, I don't know whether we should be concerned about our neighbors, but I do know we should pray. If I'm troubled by what's happening in this country, if I'm troubled by incidences of political and government violence, I'm called to do something. And because I know I'm a metaphysician, right? I know that what I see outside me is a reflection of what's inside me, right? So if I look inside, and I have to ask myself, how am I experiencing polarization and division in my own thought? And the truth is, it's by believing that there is a power opposed to love. It's by believing there are two powers here, and they're at war with each other. That is not at all what I want to believe in. I believe in love, and I stand for love. When I'm tempted to hate specific people I'm reading about online, people in political power, when I'm tempted to hate them, I have fallen into the trap of seeing both good and evil at work in the world. When I label somebody as evil or stupid, I mean, you see this online all the time, but when I do that, I'm basically opening up the possibility that I too am evil and stupid. That's right. I don't want to see myself as evil or stupid. No, I do not want to embrace that potentiality in myself or anyone else. Charles Fillmore says, it is the law of spirit that we must be that which we would draw to us. If we would draw to us love, we must be love, loving and kind. If we would have peace and harmony in our environment, we must establish it within ourselves. And Ernest Holmes says, we must be for something and against nothing. For something and against nothing. So do you guys use the expression treat and move your feet? Have you heard that expression? Yeah, that's a thing we say in Centers for Spiritual Living. Give a prayer treatment, but then get going, right? So what that says to me is that my daily spiritual practice is critically important. It's always important, but it feels more important right now, right? How am I starting my day? Am I starting my day with prayer, with meditation, with contemplation, with spiritual study, with journaling, with gratitude? How am I starting my day? How are you starting your day? The fourth basic principle in unity is prayer and meditation connect and align us to our own spiritual nature within God. Yep, so we know that that's important. How we show up in the world, Our consciousness, our prayers are what activate the law of good. They activate the law. So we want to be standing firmly in what we know to be true right now. And then the second part that's important is the move your feet part, right? You know, nothing in unity preaches, pray, and then sit there. And I know this for a fact because I read every article on the Unity website. Yeah. So we need to take action. The action that we're called to take to stand with the institutions and practices that support freedom and prosperity for all. And I'm not here to tell you what those are. Those are yours based on your spiritual practice. You will know what you are called to do. That is aligned with the fifth basic principle of unity, paraphrase, knowing and understanding spiritual truth is not enough. We must live it. So here we are with a fabulous opportunity to live spiritual truth in the world right now. And the great news is, I'm not standing for freedom and love and justice and life and security alone. Because my Creator creates through me and God, you and God, right? We are channels. I'll say this for myself. You can be a channel with me if you want, or you can be a channel for other things. I am a channel for freedom, love, life, security, health, and happiness. I should add prosperity. I am a channel for those things, and I take a stand for those things because I am a magnificent expression of my creative source. And so are you, right? So we take a stand, and I know what is mine to do. This may not be what is yours to do, but this is mine to do, and I'm doing it. I'm making really funny protest signs and going to protest marches and standing with people who are standing up for civil liberties. That's important to me. I'm donating I'm making a monthly contribution to the ACLU. That's what's mine to do. I am supporting the work of the ACLU. I am tithing to Centers for Spiritual Living. I am giving 1/10 of my income to a New Thought center that is changing the world to help create the world I want to live in. I'm serving on the board of the Whatcom Dispute Resolution Center because I believe in peaceful conflict resolution. And I realized when I was writing this, oh yeah, and I'm going to ministerial school because I want to do good in the world. I want to be of service. And so those are the things that I am called to do. And I am stepping into those things, just as each one of you is being called to step into standing for those values that are important to you, being a channel of good in the world. Each of us has our own responsibility here. Kimmerer says, with their tobacco and their thanks, our people say to the sweetgrass, I need you. By its renewal after picking, the grass says to the people, I need you too. So like the Potawatomi basket weavers, we are co-creating a thriving world with care and respect for every sacred being on this planet. So let me just summarize. What we're growing in the world together is like sweetgrass. First, we recognize the interconnectedness of all life, and we rely on the guidance of spiritual wisdom to help us navigate these complex challenges. Second, we recognize that we live in a reciprocal universe. What we see around us is a reflection of what we hold inside of us. Love is reflected in love. And I have to do work every day to ground myself in this truth. And the third is we partner with our Creator to do what is ours to do. We do that to activate the law of good, the law of love. We do that not alone, but under the guidance of love and wisdom. And so I'd just like to end this talk with a benediction. May we be instruments of peace, bringing harmony where there is discord, love where there is fear, and unity where there is separation. May the light of divine peace fill our hearts and radiate out into the world. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Cindy, just perfection. Something, a message that we can really take to heart. What brought to mind for me in listening to your words was when I first stepped on the path. 50 years ago, I had this mentor teacher who gave me 2 words. One was discernment, to observe without judgment. The next one was tenacity, to stay in your heart and spirit and on the path with tenacity. And that, you're just bringing that back, and I thank you. She's wonderful. Okay, now it's the gratitude moment. To open our hearts for our ongoing gifts, to take our offerings. As we are grateful for your ongoing gifts and love offerings, you can offer your gifts here in the sanctuary or make a donation to University Unity. Grounding, please. UnitySV.org. Thank you. And Zephy is really becoming quite handy. So we are blessing every single gift we receive with love in the realization that as you give, the ministry continues and it thrives. What you have given returns to you and to us multiplied, pressed down, and running over. So let's bless our offering. I give joyfully and easily, for God is my source, and abundance is my nature. And of course, we're going to do this again. I give joyfully and easily, for God is my source, and abundance is my nature. And thank you for your generosity.
You can say that you stand apart, put a fence around your yard. You can build a tall rampart and guard it with love. You can dig yourself a mound, burn the bridge and burn the boat. It won't matter that much, you know, because all the world is one. All the world is one. You can march in a big
Okay, I believe there is a child to bless. Is yeah, let's see Nora. Okay. Child of light, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you just the way you are. All right, and now,
What do you have to say?
oh, she has words, I think. Our prayer for protection. The life of God.
surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And now let's join hands, sing our song, and have a fantastic meal. Potluck. Yeah, we're going to set up for potluck. Yeah.